Welcome to today's webinar, courtesy of the Kentucky Small Business Development Center right here in Louisville. We're all about hooking you up with free, super secret business coaching and training services. It doesn't matter if you're just dipping your toes in or gearing up for a big expansion. We've got the goods, the tools, and the know-how to help you win. To get the scoop, cruise on over to LouisvilleSmallBusiness.com or hit us up at 502-977-5800. Big thanks for tuning in to today's webinar. Feel free to drop your questions or chat it up with our speaker using the chat feature. Let's dive in.
Welcome, friends. Welcome to another Toolkit Tuesday. Thanks for joining me today on this fine, cloudy Tuesday here. Again, I'm Dave Etkin. I'm the director here in the Louisville Small Business Development Center. You know, we are one of several centers, and you'll hear more about us as we dive in today. But as always, I'd like to check to make sure our tech is working. We are generally very mindful of that. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a toolbar. And if you don't, just put your cursor down there and it should pop right up in there. You'll see the chat feature. And if you wouldn't mind just clicking that, and it should pop up. And then if you would just say hello and tell us where you're joining from. It's always very fun for me to see where people are today on this Tuesday. So there we go. I'm also joined with my good friend and coworker, Janet Flaw, who's always here with me. Hey, Janet.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today.
Yeah. So, and then also you see the smiling face of JC Phelps. You've seen him before, I think. He is one of our great experts here at the SBDC. So Sean Spencer, one of my friends too. Hey, Sean, how are you? She's here in Louisville. She has a great company, big expert. She's been on Toolkit Tuesday as well a couple of times. So Sean, how are you? Anybody else out there want to say hello and tell us where you're joining from? Good to hear that, Sean. Yeah. Well, so JC is one of our experts here at the SBDC. So if you have any questions or comments, just put them in the chat and we'll get to them. This is a great opportunity to really get some good advice and really question an expert about specifics in your business. So make sure you pop in the chat and chat it up with JC. He loves that. Don't you, JC?
I do.
So today we're talking about what sounds like a simple subject, but actually I think it's pretty difficult. And really, it's all about figuring out who your target customer is and how to understand what their problems are and how to solve those. And you know, the classic way to do this is just to build a person so that you know who you're talking to. And so JC is, like I said, I keep saying he's an expert, but he's also, I've done it expert. I mean, he has a great following, great channels. He is our local homegrown influencer deluxe and well known around the country and the region and in Louisville and other parts of the Kentucky too, where he's from. So JC, I'm gonna hand it on over to you and let's just dive right in and get going here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you all for having me. David's right. I love to talk. So please ask questions in the chat. Sometimes here in the summer at the SBDC, we have some lower attendances and training. I love that because it means that we can talk more intimately one-on-one, and that's what makes the training good. So Sean is already at an advantage. They are in the chat, and I hope you all will be too, because there's one part that is going to be slightly interactive. And I would love to use one of you, whether in truly your business or if you want to think of a hypothetical, we'll do that too. So Sean, get ready and we'll see if someone else can hop in there. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. And Dave, if you just want to confirm that they are showing, we will start rocking and rolling. Okay.
Let's do it.
As Dave said, we are here to talk about digital personas, which is a topic that I quite like. And He mentioned about the Kentucky Small Business Development Center. This is Toolkit Tuesday, brought to you by our Louisville Center. It looks like we're maybe a Louisville heavy call today. I'm coming to you from Louisville too. But if you are, from around the state, you likely know that we are a statewide program. And so we cover all 120 counties of Kentucky. So if you know someone that could be of use from our services, please let us know. We can connect you to the right entity. We do offer two main service: business coaching, that's when we work one-on-one with you, and then training and education, similar to what we're here for today. I'm JC, and I may have been in a training with you all before, but it's a pleasure to be back. I appreciate my friends in Louisville having me. My email address is here on the screen, and I wouldn't offer this if I didn't mean it, but it is always open to you. If you have any questions for me, whether it be today or I actually answered an email from a past training client, I think a Louisville client, in fact, in January, that reached out today. And so they got a response today as well. So I'm always here to be a resource for you. I do work out of our state office here at the SBDC as their training coordinator, so all things training and education. Digital marketing is really my shtick. It's what I love. When I was a business coach here, it's largely what I did, and it's what I teach, and it's what I do also in my business. So this is a topic that I very much love. And when Janet proposed this idea to me, I thought it was a fabulous one because, as Dave said, this can be a topic that seems easy. But what I hope to show to you today is that it doesn't have to be hard. I'm all for doing things in an efficient and in the least difficult way. That's my life philosophy. That said, it is more nuanced than people give credit for. And I think having a persona, having a digital persona for your customer is oftentimes the difference in great marketing and good marketing. Or maybe it's good marketing and not so good marketing. I think this is something that can be implemented that really takes things to the next level. So that's what we're going to chat about today. And again, there will be an interactive part to this. All of that to say, let's talk about a digital customer persona. Maybe sounds like a bunch of marketing mumbo jumbo, yeah? So let's actually break it down. As Dave said, this is the defining of a customer. And we're going to talk about how that actually differs a little bit from target customers. But we're going to focus today on digital because it's largely how we all market. But this customer is semi-fictional. What do I mean by that? I'm not going to say, okay, Dave Etkin, Louisville, Kentucky, right? But at the same time, I'm going to build a persona that might invoke Dave and others to have the most representative time ever marketing. Let's see here. I see a question. Am I muted? We cannot hear you since you're in the room, so you're all good. You're not interrupting, but I do appreciate that question. No problem at all, Courtney. All of that to say, this representation, this persona, it has to be detailed. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to work through good and bad examples. And we detail this persona through the process of marketing research, my favorite part of marketing. And we also invoke data at times about the existing customers. We have to make data-driven decisions because it's how we are strategic, okay? These personas, you can see, three little emoji type personas there on the right, but they are specific. They have things like demographics. They have things like behaviors. They have things like motivations, goals, challenges. And we're going to talk about all of these, and then we'll talk about how you implement it. I have some examples of that as well. Something that I hear about a lot in marketing and, in the classes that I teach, of course, we talk about target customers. That's marketing 101. Who are you targeting? But the point I'm trying to make here is that these things are highly correlated. But in the marketing space, there is a difference. As we're talking about a persona, digital customer personas, they are highly detailed. They are more detailed because they're more strategic. So they are specific. They look more at those individual characteristics more than just glazing over, like target customer profiles will. And that allows us to have deeper insights. And we'll talk about some of the benefits of that. Okay. So I think of digital personas as personalized, truly personalized marketing strategies. It's not that you can't personalize something to a target customer. Of course you can. But target customers, when people talk about them, and we'll see some examples, and I think this will be drilled in, they are more broad than a persona, in my opinion. They're broader because they're less specified. They're higher level characteristics, less specific. I think target customers and personas go hand in hand, and you'll use both. I tend to market to my target customers in mass constantly. And then I tend to have campaigns that are driven to my customer persona. And I'll give you some examples of that. And when I think of who we think of as target customers, I see that as your overall strategy. Okay. We're segmenting, but digital personas take it one step further. I did want to go ahead and say, I gave these slides to Janet prior to the training. And so you all will have those sent to you. Of course, I would love for you to take notes, and you may need a pen and paper if you want to think about something, or use the chat feature here in a few. But if you miss something, please don't feel panicked because you will get the slides. I'm always happy to share those with the training clients. But we're going to dive into this much deeper. But let's build a persona, right? This is an identity that we're going to spell out. What is it that we're going to ask ourselves when we're talking about our customers? We're going to ask, who are they? And there's a lot that goes into that. It's more than just saying, I'm JC in Louisville, right? What are their main goals? Main goals are important as opposed to general goals, because we want to make sure that we can capitalize on their spend in a competitive market, right? And we also got to think about what are the barriers potentially that are getting them away from the purchase. Barriers to entry in marketing are sometimes called pain points. And pain points are what detract them from being a customer of our business. So we have to address all of these things most certainly, okay? So we know that digital personas are more specified, highly specific, more detail driven than target customers, but they work in unison. So the natural question, if I were sitting there, would be, okay, how do we gather, right? How do we start to form these digital personas? So let's talk about that. As I mentioned, there's the very basic question, who are they? But as I said, it really does go deeper than this. And you'll see some correlation to target markets here. Some key data points when defining who that customer is. And I don't want you to be like the gentleman here on the left, right? We can be overwhelmed with information. And so if you go about this in a way that you just dive in head first and you try to accomplish it super fast, you're going to be overwhelmed, right? This should be a piece by piece, data by data, often season by season decision that you're making and how you're going to market to your people. But you all know what demographic features are, right? We may talk about age. We may talk about gender, location. I'm going to hit on those three things and examples in this training, but it goes further than that. Income, education, right? Why would education matter? Maybe you're marketing something that has a statistical relevance to people with graduate degrees, right? Or maybe you think about the correlation in having a higher income to education, or a higher income to being able to purchase higher price discretionary goods. These things make all the difference in our marketing. And we do cater our marketing messages contingent on who we're trying to appeal to. You're going to talk very different to, a 20-year-old than you're going to talk to a 60-year-old, right? That's why demographic segmentation matters. But then there are behaviors, right? What are their purchasing habits? What's their online behavior? We're going to talk about these things later on in the presentation. What are their motivations, right? When you think about something that you regularly purchase, what actually drives that decision? And it goes further than saying you like something, right? Personal example, had lunch right before I dialed in to this training. I went to Frank's on Preston for my Louisville people. And why did I go there, right? It's quick. It's close to my house. There are lots of things that motivate. It's very well priced. I could give you a plethora of listing points that defines the average Frank's customer, of which I am. And that would be the motivation to go in there and to continue to purchase with the business. And then what's the goal, right? The goal for me maybe was to have lunch and a country ham sandwich, right? But goals go much deeper than that. Is there a product benefit that should be reaped? And if any of these things are true, it has to be communicated in your marketing, or your return on investment is simply not going to be as high, okay? So those are some data points. Data innately comes from gathering, right? So how do we gather? How do we build this data? You're not going to use all of these, but my goal in having 2 slides about this is to say that this data comes from many, many sources, and it depends on what your business has and what you choose to invoke in the future, right? If there's any form of online survey, we use surveys when we do trainings here at the SBDC. I look at every training survey response to something that I've led, because one, I hope that I have pleased and provided value to our clients, but even more than that, if there is something that was lacking, I hope to make a pivot to be able to better serve you, right? And there are ways to online survey within your website, within e-commerce, and maybe that's it. A very general term, offline survey. What does that mean? In so many ways, if you're a public-facing business, talk to your people, right? Talk to your people. When you are seeing people in your store, when you're communicating with customers, either on a store, on a route, or whatever it may be, chat with them, right? What is it that got them there? How'd they hear about you? Get to know them. Get to know the people that are regulars in your business. When you do that, of course, it's just good business and you're being a nice person. But the devious marketing side of that is that we're also building data. If we're seeing repeated patterns, guess what? We're building a persona. And that cannot happen without conversation or without some sort of data gathering. This is something that you potentially, I'm assuming the owner of your business needs to do, but it's also something that your staff members should absolutely be trained to do. And beyond that, there's twofold. If there are multiple people in your business doing this, you need to have touch points with your people to see who they're seeing, who they're talking to, what do they see? Because there are people in our businesses that work the day-to-day, that work the floor, right? And they're going to understand it much deeper than someone that doesn't have that touch point with customers. There's so many data points on website analytics. Now we're getting into my realm. This is more what I do. And we'll talk about some of these later on, but how would I build data from analytics? You see where people are from, right? You can see social media and website analytics based on some demographic features they will spell out. You can see things like, how did they respond on the website? What was their bounce rate? How much time did they spend on the page? These are all consumer data pieces that build a profile. And I want to make a point here. The power of having a persona versus only a target market is that, again, personas can be oftentimes numerous, and we invoke them at different times. Something I feel very passionate about in marketing is that there's not just one target. And that's the reason for my belief in personas. You hit different people at different times. And so your website or social media, e-commerce, that customer may look different than some of your regulars that come in on a day-to-day basis, but you're still gaining revenue and generating revenue from both parties. And so you need to have marketing strategies for both. You can have multiple personas, multiple targets, and many people box themselves in. And that's something that I really hate to see, because I do think it's a short sell. If you have any form of customer review or rating system, right? If you have Google reviews, or if you follow up with a survey, whatever it may be, that ties in very much with online surveys. But that's where you should be not only just reading, but taking notes, internalizing, and then thinking, okay, how can I invoke this in strategy? That's where it comes in. There can be surveys that come out right after purchases, right? I know oftentimes we don't like these as consumers. I get them all the time. How was your experience at blank, right? When I get those emails, do I always respond? The marketer in me should. But every time I do see them, I think, okay, good marketing, right? I just hope they're doing something with the data. In your business, you may have a CRM system that can tell you things about your target about your target personas and who you're actually touching. That's certainly a strategy we use here at the Kentucky SBDC. Maybe there's support data if your website has a help feature, or if you have a support personnel member, right? What are they hearing, right? What questions are they having? What pain points? Again, that goes back to that pain points. That's going to help you come up with marketing strategies that help you surpass those. There are social listening tools. This is some higher-end social media software, which I know some people use, watching how people talk about your brand. But there's also a very easy way to do this. While there is sophisticated software that does it better, if you own a business, you should probably be Googling your name. You should probably be typing in your name on Facebook, such and such Louisville, right? And see what people are saying, right? Look in local Facebook groups, see if people are talking about you. And if people are talking about bad portion sizes, if you're a restaurant, right? Maybe something you consider. If they talk about something that's very exemplary in your business, that they went out of their way to say, guess what? That is something, that's a goal, right? And it's something that you satisfied. We should build a persona off of that to hit our marketing. Engagement metrics, this goes with social media and websites, right? But what do people engage with? Is it a certain type of content? Is it a promotion? These are all parts of customer personas. An interesting one here that I want to point out is the competitive analysis. Many of you all, may be in business and have never taken Start Smart with me, which is a foundational training here at the SBDC. But I talk about competitive analysis in that. I urge you, when you are in business, right? I am a competitive person by nature. I will admit that. And I think there's something to be said about collaboration and community. Both are very important. But you can also do those things while being competitive. And just as you listen to how people are interacting with you, here's the logical point that I'm deducing. Every target customer, every target persona, every person that could be spending money in your business, they're not already on your page, right? But they might be on your biggest competitor's page. So some social listening there, going to their page and listening and seeing what they see as value adds, the things that they're communicating, the things they're saying online, good, bad, ugly, and everything in between. That can inform you on your customer persona as well. On one, how to get them over to you, but two, how to ensure that you keep them as opposed to losing them to competition, right? Analytics on your e-com. We're going to talk about some of those pain points, but if you sell online, you absolutely should be looking at data such as transaction history, right? If you're not gathering data, for example, you have a system where, someone logs in with their email or phone number. Sometimes as customers, we don't think about that. Why are they doing that? We do that because we're building a persona, right? If you were a business that I just had lunch with, then they don't do this, but if they looked at my phone number, they would probably see that I like country ham sandwiches, right? And so if they were trying to target people like me, guess what? They see my purchase history. That's how you market, right? And that's a large digital strategy. Lastly, if you have salespeople, you have personnel that either work on the floor, or if they work in a different sales capacity, you need to have touch points. I've said that twice in different ways, but I really want to stress it. You have to have touch points with your people, because as the higher level strategy person, and maybe you're all of those things, oftentimes in small business, that's how it is. But you need to be able to dissect either info from your sales personnel, or if it's all you need to be able to dissect all the things you do to get the feedback you need to actually know who this persona is. Okay. So let's talk about the construction of these personas. When you identify the persona segments, we're going to break them down. Again, we're going to break them down on things like demographics. We're going to break them down on things like psychographics. What's an example of a psychographic? It could be like a value. Let's think you're a food retailer. Can you all tell I work in the food space? I'm going to talk about food constantly. That's what I do in my business. But say, someone values organic local produce. That's absolutely a psychographic feature that you should use in your marketing. If you're retailing Kentucky Proud, that's great. If you get your product from such and such farm, by George, you need to say it, right? Because that's how you capitalize. I'm one of those customers. I was raised on a farm, and if you tell me it's from such and such farm, I'm ready to spend money, right? Because I want to see the farmers get their money, because I know how hard that work is. And things like behavioral segmentation. I want to make this point, though. This is why we do it before we get into examples. The better this persona is, the more we can target. The better this persona is, the more we can have strong, consistent, actionable messaging. We're understanding our customers and the diversity of our customers, right? A target market can be awfully one note. Our customers are diverse. And diversity is critical in business in more ways than I can explain on this chat. By uplifting the diversity of our customers, by uplifting the targeting and messaging, at the end of the day, the selfish part of this is that there's return on investment. Your marketing is going to be better. And with more marketing comes more revenue. And with the controlling of your expenses, contingent on that, more revenue tends to lead to more profit. And that's what we want in the long run. So let's think about a template, right? I feel like we're almost playing, I'm trying to think of what's the name of the game where you have the people, is it Clue or Guess Who? I can't remember. And you're trying to guess who someone has chosen. That's what this photo reminded me of when I found it. But let's think about a template. You may name your persona group. I personally do that. I hear someone in the chat. I think they're going to tell me what photo. The photo here on the slide. It reminded me of that board game I used to play, where you try to guess like who someone has chosen. You have characteristics. But all of that to say, you're going to think about things like name and age and gender and occupation, maybe, and certainly goals, challenges, interests, preferred channels, right? Your Facebook customer may be different than your Instagram customer. Those things are important. So let's talk about that, okay? This is a pretty good one. I made it a very general name. Let's say this is persona A. I'm going to be gender inclusive here. I'm not going to be marketing on the basis of gender. You may choose to do that, or you may choose not to, right? I urge you to consider how you market to gender to ensure that you're being inclusive of your clientele. But all of that to say, let's say the age range for this person, 28 to 50. Goals. This person enjoys discovering unique dining experiences in Louisville, right? We're back to food and we're back to Louisville. They're looking for new flavors. They're looking for high quality service. These are things that they look for in their restaurant choice. Oh, you're all good. Challenges, they face constraints due to work, right? We're always busy, busy, busy. And your restaurant is downtown adjacent. And maybe they worry about parking. Okay, maybe that's a pain point that you have. So their interests, again, they like exploring local and international cuisines. They engage with restaurant apps and food blogs. They, for preferred channels, they use things like Yelp and they read Google reviews. They follow influencers on Instagram and they prefer restaurants with online reservations. Excuse me, I didn't mean to progress there. This is a persona. It's certainly not your only customer, but here's where that persona comes in, right? I know an age range. I'm going to be talking to working people here, but people that are removed from college, people that are established in their job, that are going to have the money to spend in a discretionary fashion on their dining. I know they're looking for unique dining, right? So I'm not going to market the plain old Plano. What's unique at my restaurant? They want new flavors, high quality service. Highlight your servers. There's the content idea. Time constraints. Maybe you can talk about a happy hour, right? That's an example of a time constraint. It's within a certain, time frame. They're in, they're out. They know they're going to be. Highlight your parking features. If that's something that you hear, your wait staff in your restaurant currently hears about how hard parking is, maybe that's something you need to address in your marketing because it's a pain point of your persona. They're interested in local and international cuisines. You could show how those interact in your restaurant, and they engage with food blogs and influencers. What might that mean? You might have an influencer or a blogger or someone in your restaurant that's well known in exchange for posting about it, right? That's the channel, making sure that we're hitting them. What would be a target market example of this? You would often hear, if I were to ask a general restaurateur, they may say something like, we see a lot of working people that enjoy, really have an appreciation for local food. By all means, that's a target market. And that's something that we pretty commonly hear, and maybe we even commonly say. But as you can see, breaking it down, a persona is much better in terms of action because we're hitting it. In my business, I'm a recipe developer, mostly. That's what I do. And 12 months a year, the Southern cook, the party host or hostess, that's my general audience. But what's my persona in April, the month I make the most money, April and the first week or two of May? Why is that Derby, right? It's when I get the most traffic. It's when I make the majority of my revenue on a month-to-month basis. My new customer persona or reader persona in that case for me is either a Derby goer or a Derby party host. That's a very strong customer persona because that's very different marketing than just a Southern cook, right? That's how we get strategic. What's a bad example look like, though? You have a customer, 20s to 30s. Again, any gender is fine. They want a good dining experience because they're interested in good food, local food. They use social media. They may read some online reviews. These are things that I hear almost every day from people, right? When I was working as a business coach, this is how someone would have described a target to me. And I'm not saying it's a bad target per se, but it's not a good persona. And it's not a good persona because I have no idea who this person is at the end of the day. It's too open. And it's almost like the marketing, the marketing thought of if you cast a net into an ocean, a singular net, you're not going to catch that much, right? It's like one little net in this wide open space. But if I throw that same net into a puddle or into a very small pond or a koi pond or something like that, a smaller body of water, now we're talking, right? And that's the difference in a target and a persona. So I want you to start thinking about building out a persona of your own. I'm going to ask you for it later, but if you want to go ahead and put it in the chat, if you want to write some things down, we will come back to this. And then I may think of a marketing strategy for you. So be thinking about that. That's the interactive part of this. But I want to see your brain going. Let's see here. Lisa's in the chat breaking down. Yes, breaking it down, I do think is so important. I think the key word here is dissection because the target is large. How can we dissect it in these personas? And that's also, especially as we're getting into Q4, we're in Q3 now, but we're already thinking about holiday. Maybe you are. That's a very strong customer persona. Your Q4 your target audience or your persona may look very different than your summer, right? Those things are important. So think about building one of your own. Again, feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll come to it when we get to that part, or if you want to be thinking about it. But I would love to hear some ideas from you all. Now, talking about building this, one thing I want to point out, and this is a pet peeve is a small word. You can probably tell I love all things marketing and I'm just a happy-go-lucky person. So it's not really a pet peeve. But one thing that I don't like about marketing or marketing strategy is that people will put in the work in the beginning and then they don't go back to it, right? They don't revisit it. And that is erroneous. And so you must continue to validate your persona. You must continue to improve your persona because that's how you're going to continue to capitalize in the market. You need to cross-check things with data. Guess what? Data changes. My audience on my website, where I make the majority of my money through ad revenue, it has changed over the years. Boy, oh boy, has it, right? And if I were operating under the same persona, I would not be hitting the mark. I can assure you that. Again, talk to your people. As your business develops, as it's open longer, if you change location, right? If you have new menu offerings, this feedback is going to change. And so not only your interaction with your customers, but if you have other people interacting on your behalf, you got to chat with them. It's very critical. Once you talk about it, though, you got to walk the walk. That's the important part. Then you got to refine it. Update these personas. Update your marketing campaigns. And update them as often as you see fit. It is crucial, okay? See here. I see someone coming in with the business. I like it. We will get to that. Keep them coming. So let's talk about implementation. If we integrate this persona segment, we're going to set marketing objectives that resonate with this person. We're going to identify their goals and address their needs or preferences or behaviors, the things that we've outlined. And so if a person says, I value convenience, I value affordability, I could say, okay, I got you. I need to think about offering things online that may ship, right? I like to ship things to my door. I certainly like to shop local, and I do shop local a lot, but I work a few positions and I'm doing my PhD. I'm a busy person. And so because of that, I look for people that can get something to my doorstep. That's certainly a type of digital persona, and it's a pretty popular one, and one that I fit. So if you're only a brick and mortar and you're open 10 to 5, something to think about, right? You're not hitting that person. Let's think about it. This is a Lexington example. Maybe there's some Lex people on here. You may decide that your restaurant or your bar, that people are looking for an after dinner drink, right? They're looking for a nightcap, let's say. We've determined that people are out and about, that they're looking for something, that last thing they're going to do in an evening out in Lexington. You have your other ideas of who they may be, ages, and we can implement that. But what does that look like in practice, right? On social media, you may be running an ad that says, unwind with us after dinner. Explore Lexington's hidden gem for cocktails and unwind in a cozy, intimate setting. Check out our exclusive offers. And maybe your photo has a cocktail with an offer. Okay. That's going to hit with someone. If I made dinner reservations and I'm looking for that nightcap, I'm going to respond to this, right? Because that's a customer persona. Maybe you have an email newsletter. You title it Relax with Us, your guide to after dinner drinks in Lexington. You highlight your venue. You highlight how tranquil it is. It's perfect for that last drink, for that nightcap. You highlight your menu. You get people in there. Maybe you offer a discount for a first-time visit, for signing up on your email list and giving you that marketing data, right? Or maybe they get a complimentary drink with the purchase of another one. Who knows? But these campaigns don't just hit a target market of people that like to drink or people looking to drink in a local bar, people over 21. That's what a target market would say. A persona would say, we are a hotspot for people that have had dinner downtown, say, right? And they're going to come to us after. That's a persona. Let's do some more. Maybe you're looking for a home renovation. You're in Louisville, Kentucky, right? You're 28 to 50. Let's use that again, inclusive of all genders. Some challenges. You're having problems with finding someone trustworthy. You hire someone and then they don't come, right? We've all been there. They're looking to manage renovation costs. They're looking for a timeline, someone that's upfront. And their goal, of course, they want to transform their space in a way that reflects their style, enhances the functionality, right? And property value, something that I think about. So I may think about my campaign for this person if I were the home renovation firm, transforming your space. Louisville's expert home renovation service. Expert has this connotation that it's high quality, right? They're looking for someone high quality. I may run a social media ad. Dreaming of a home makeover? Discover Louisville's top renovation experts for your project. Get started with the consultation. If you have a consultation, and maybe it's a free consultation, as I say below, that means I'm going to show up, right? I can't consult with you if I'm not there. It means I'm going to listen to you and hear about what you need because I know in your persona that you want a space that caters to you, right? This is the money. Instead of saying, we renovate spaces, it takes a little bit more than that. Maybe the email says, create your dream home, expert tips, and trusted services in Louisville. You're going to feature profiles in email or on social, both, right? Past customers, show that before and that after, because then I'm going to see myself as a customer saying, yeah, I want my space to be that. Offer that free consultation, offer that budget planning guide, offer something that's a value add that's going to give someone that trust in you, right? That's a persona. That goes far more than saying, I want my home renovated. Maybe you're a health conscious shopper and you're in Louisville, 28 to 50, any gender. The challenge, convenient access to healthy food in Louisville, right? We know this is an issue. You want to maintain a healthy lifestyle by discovering and purchasing nutritious and organic foods. And you want convenient shopping across the city. Let's just say that, okay? How might that look? Explore Louisville's top health food store. Find fresh, organic produce to support your wellness journey. Conveniently located across the city, they want it. Maybe these are just a few locations. Highlands, Shelby Park, St. Matthews, Middletown. Maybe it's in Germantown, where I am. Maybe it's in Russell or California or Portland or South Louisville, wherever it may be. Call it out. If I'm the customer, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to be in Shelby Park today. I live like 2 minutes from there. I'm going to roll in there and get my produce for dinner tonight, right? Because I was looking for convenience. Maybe in that email newsletter or website content or again social media ad, you're highlighting what is it I can expect when I get there, right? What do you have? Provide your addresses, provide your hours, make it easy for me because my persona said I looked for convenience and maybe offer me a promotion, right? That's always a good thing. As you're implementing these, you have to measure your success. In marketing, we always have a KPI, a key performance indicator. And with these KPIs, we determine how well these efforts are actually resonating with these personas. There are umpteen KPIs, and I only have 4 here for you in this presentation. But as you develop these goals, the question you should then logically ask yourself is, how am I going to measure the performance of this? And that's going to be different on a case-to-case basis. These are a little digital, right? What's the conversion rate? What percentage of people that come to the website, for example, or viewed my ad on social, did they take a desired action? And PS, that very detailed customer persona that we've built, you can specify those things in your social media ads, right? Health conscious, busy, You absolutely can do that. Maybe it's an engagement rate. Are people seeing that content and it's engaging and they're actually liking, commenting, clicking, sharing? That's one way to measure. Maybe you're running digital ads and you want to look at something like a customer acquisition cost. The better the ad is, you may have to spend a little more to get it to them because it's targeted, but then it hopefully should resonate, right? And if it's not, your persona is a little off. And this is, you do use data-driven decisions, but this can be a learning process. Maybe it's a lifetime value. You have a CRM software, you track things like purchase history and all of that, and you can begin to estimate what the total revenue for that customer looks like right now. What could it be over the lifetime, right? If they kept up their current spending habits or if they continued. Again, four of so many KPIs. These are more digital leaning because that's the space where I live, but yours are going to look different, and that's good, right? It's not a one size fits all here. So I want to end with an interactive activity. I want you, even if you don't want to share, I want you to think about your digital customer persona or your customer persona, even if it's not digital. And we've seen the template before. There's a name and an age. Maybe it's a gender. Maybe it's an occupation. All these things aren't going to be necessarily relevant. It just depends. Maybe there's a goal. There's a challenge. There's an interest. Maybe there's a preferred channel. Tell me about it, right? Tell me about that. I'm going to come back to this slide and then we may talk about some campaigns that might fit for that. And we'll end with this before we go into Q&A. So I do see one in the chat. I'm going to build on this and then maybe the next one that comes through, I'll be able to do that one. So one person shared that they are a print shop, print, copy, fax, notary, laminating types of items. I need a few things to be laminated. So maybe we're both in the, I need to come see you. All of that to say, right? You're going to ask yourself, Sean, you're going to say, okay, this is persona A. When people are coming into the shop and you're chatting with them, what is it that gets them in there? What's the pain point for me? Why I would come see you here in Louisville? I'm looking at a printer actually right below my feet that's unplugged. That thing breaks all the time. It's my least favorite piece of technology. I want something quick and easy if I need a printed document. And that's, something that I don't want to buy for my own house. So that is my goal, right? I'm looking for convenience. Interest, right? I'm looking for different types of documentation, different formats. I told you I could use some laminating. You're probably maybe appealing to some professional type service sectors, things like that. And preferred channels, you may think, okay, if I'm hitting a professional sector or if you're doing print jobs for other small businesses or nonprofits, where are these people, right? Are you finding them on Facebook? Are you finding them via direct marketing? Are you finding them via Instagram or via TikTok or via your website and search engine optimization? The question is, you're probably hitting them in multiple ways. So how can we even take that and make it persona A, persona B, persona C? Digital analytics are wonderful. They're cut and dry and we can look at them. But having a shop like you, or like many of you all may be on the chat, the beauty is you're going to be interacting with these people. It's going to be a good experience when you come into the shop and you're chatting it up. But also I hope you take mental notes there because you're going to think about the campaign, right? Maybe you're thinking about something with back to school, if there's something relevant to there. That's a persona that's seasonal, and it's seasonal and it's coming up. Maybe there's something that you do that's tied to more so holiday. Absolutely. It's that. Maybe you're trying to work with restaurants and the printing of menus or something like that. That's a whole campaign and a huge market here in Louisville, right? Those things are laminated or they're printed on high quality papers and put into the menu portfolio or pad folios, whatever it may be. All of those are people in the general target that need print shop services, but those are different personas. Okay. So I appreciate that you put that in the chat. So I built few campaigns maybe for you, right? Maybe you're hitting food and bev, maybe you're hitting holiday, maybe you're hitting back to school, maybe you're hitting that person like me, that millennial that doesn't have a printer in their house that works and needs to turn in the occasional document, right? All of these things are important. And, notary, right? I just saw notary listing in that. That's a whole nother market. You have multiple personas and multiple revenue um, spots within that. Someone here said they have a historic window restoration business. I love this. At the church that I go to here in Louisville, our huge Tiffany window was just removed for some restoration. So we've had some stress there. Maybe I'm just going to say maybe you're in Louisville, maybe you're working in Old Louisville, a neighborhood with a highest percentage of stained glass windows in a per mile radius of anywhere in the United States in personal homes, right? And so who are you going to be talking to? You're certainly going to be talking to someone probably in a slightly higher income demographic because they can afford that restoration, that high level of service. You're going to be talking about befores and afters. You're going to be talking about the beauty of preservation and the importance of that. Talking to someone that has a preservation mindset and someone that does not are two very different things, right? And so that is very, very important. And so in terms of building a campaign, when you think about maybe you're hitting into the real estate market, right? And realtors are working with people to try to get their home up to snuff. Maybe you're trying to hit first-time home buyers that bought that old house that needs a little renovation and they need to touch. Maybe you look at data and you say most people do renovations at this time of year. And it's something that then you would market slightly before that to try to get them. Those are all personas, right? A persona of someone looking to renovate an old Louisville has its own flair, right? Because that neighborhood has its own flair. And Marcus, after you say window restoration, you can tell me in the chat. I think you may be the Marcus I'm thinking about. As I know Marcus that does window restoration. Yes, hi, Marcus from Audubon. Good to see you. But these are all different personas. And that's the beauty of not just having a target, but actually having it break down. It's good to see you, Marcus. I'm so glad you're here. I want to remind you all that the SBDC, we're here for you all. We're here to work with you. And so I encourage you, if you have not been connected with us before, to please do so. The Louisville SBDC, Dave can put the website into the chat. It's failing me at the top of my brain. There's also KentuckySBDC.com, a general website, and a phone number if you've never been set up with someone to get hooked up is 1-888-414-7232. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my slides and come back in here to the chat so we can talk. But what I want to hit one last time is this: when I think about the customer persona, I think about the specific. It is the difference between an average marketing campaign and a really good one. I'm going to talk different in Derby, then I'm going to talk in fall, then I'm going to talk in winter, right? Holiday is different than that first Q1. All of these things differ. And building at who that customer is and who they look like at that time, all that means is a stronger chance of building revenue from your marketing effort. Okay, that's the beauty of a persona. We're back, Dave.
We are back. I got a quick question here, JC. So when I look at the persona, there's a lot of, it's almost like I see like a branch, with your categories, because you can go down different rabbit holes. Do you start like with what are their challenges and try to solve those challenges and use that as your priority to build what you're going to offer them? Once you have the persona, you need to prioritize what the campaign is going to be and what you're going to say and what you're going to offer. Is the challenge the driver of most of that?
Yes, and I'm glad you said that. That's always where I start, because this is my opinion of challenges. most of your competitors, they're going to have down some of those demographic things, right? But challenges are what gets a customer to the finish line if you can solve them, if you see that pain point. And so, whatever that pain point is, I have got to solve it. Maybe Marcus is doing window restoration in a way unlike anyone else in Louisville, right? Maybe it's a price point thing, maybe it's a quality of service thing. What is it that people are looking for? They're looking to preserve. They can imagine that Tiffany window coming out. These are the challenges. So showing what you can do and how you can address it and how you can position yourself as that quote unquote savior to that client of that challenge. That's how you win, because they're going to be looking at potentially you and a few other people to provide that same service. Challenges are key, because at the end of the day, that's why we enter the marketplace. If you go to buy lunch, you're hungry, right? That's your challenge. But if you're looking for restoration or print jobs or things like that, those are very specific, and you got to go one step further. What is it that's going to get someone to open that door and walk in to see you? That's your campaign.
Right, right. Hmm. So, along the same question, if you're focusing on the challenge, when I look at the other category about goals, I mean, there's in a way they're sort of similar, because I have a challenge. Well, I have a goal to fix that challenge. How do you meld all that together? I know these are
They
kind of questions, but they're very
Yeah,
common.
no, they're good. The challenges and the goals should work in unison, right? If there's not a congruency there, they're not being addressed either correctly or efficiently. That's point one. But how I would separate that more is this: challenges are oftentimes short run, goals can be long run. That's how I differentiate. And so if I'm having the goal of, Marcus, I keep picking on you, please forgive me. If I have the goal of renovation, right? In the short run, I'm looking for that restoration, excuse me, to get it fixed because it needs it. If I'm looking, or that challenge, if I'm looking for the goal, again, seeing that window and talking in copy that it's going to be, living its fullest beauty for decades to come, right? That's going one step further. If you're going to purchase this one time and the challenge is to get there, what will it continue to provide in value to that customer, right? That's one step further. But those two things have to be tied. And the difficulty there, and why you have to customize it to your business, is that there are things that are very short run and long run innately, right? Food is short run. Big projects on your home, long run. And so, every industry has to take that, but you have to make sure those two things work in congruence. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna pick on Sean with the print shop and stuff, because I think this is another key point too, is like, if I'm going to use Sean's print shop in a way, that's kind of a commodity. So if you can,
Sure.
so talk a little bit about how she would basically, look for a challenge and maybe a goal to make what would be a commodity into something specific for a specific persona.
I think when you look at a commodity like that, again, this is the case by case basis. You have a different pain point yourself and trying to figure that out. I think that's extremely valid. What you must do, if I were the person operating this, if I were Sean, um, you have to be able to understand those that are already patronizing the business, because you have at some point already accomplished or surpassed one of their challenges. Having that point of conversation and chatting with them, getting to know that behind the scenes, what got them to you, that's going to tell you not only what got person A to you, but that persona encompasses person A, B, C, D, E, right? It's going to get more people, because there has to be more like that. But if it's already worked once, the commodities, that's the difficult part, right? Sometimes we think, how do we market that? Or, there are things that are innately easier to market than others. Before I was at the SBDC, I worked as a consultant in the appliance industry, right? Appliances are not the sexiest thing to market, is what I used to always say. But we have to think about how we go about that. And so if I were Sean, to me, to build that marketing channel based on the commodity good, I would start talking by talking to who's already there, and then continuing to build out. Because I do think you have a challenge in that industry opposed to some others, but it's also an opportunity. Every challenge is, you just have to customize.
Right. That was well said. Very brilliant. That's why we have you on our webinars.
I appreciate you all. Yeah. Hi. You too. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're right at 1 o'clock. I guess we ought to let everybody go to work. You know,
we've had too much fun. It's already 1. Time flies. Time flies when you're learning and when you're with Dave and Janet and the Louisville SBDC.
JC, it was great fun having you today. You are just a joy to listen to, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah. And Janet, thanks for driving the ship as always.
Thank you, guys. Be sure to stick around and do our survey here in just a second. So, yeah. Thanks, JC.
You're very welcome. And thank you, Marcus. Good to see you on here. See y'all.
Yep. So we'll see everybody next Tuesday or I think we're taking a break next Tuesday.
Taking a break.
So everybody have some lunch next Tuesday, and we'll see you the following. All right. Have a good day. We'll see everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.